Welcome to the Girl Talk podcast. We are excited today. I've got our host Joanne, my sister-in-law, with us today, and my wonderful friend Chandra is back. She's my real estate friend, good buddy, and we are talking about our children today. So Joanne is the mom to two little girls, which happen to be my nieces, so they're sweet and adorable, and I love them. So we've got Grace, who just turned 6 years old, and we have Gwen, who is 3.5, and then we have Chandra's wonderful daughter, Kristen, who is 10 years old. So I feel like we have a very good variety here for age, and we're talking all about girls today because we have girls. So we're going to jump right into it. I hope you'll enjoy this podcast as we share our hearts with you.
Yes, and going into it too, this is stuff that's going to be applied for boys and girls too.
Yes.
But just kiddos in general. And when I found out we were going to do this one with Chandra, I knew she had a 10-year-old, and I was like, "This is good." I am, I just have my 6 and 3, and you've got a 10-year-old, so that's a whole different ballpark.
Yes, we've entered a new stage.
Yeah. So I really am looking forward to hearing what's going on in your world of a little girl that's 10. So
yeah, well, let's see, where should we start? No.
Yeah.
Well, I can say this because she just turned 10 in April, so she just finished 4th grade, so we're going into 5th grade. And one of the things that it's funny, so most public schools go, kindergarten to 5th, and then they go like 6th to 8th for the middle school and whatnot. Well, her elementary school has grown at rapid pace, and so they don't have room for the 5th graders. Wow. So the 5th graders next year are going to the middle school.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, no. Like, there's a lot of things there that we are not quite ready for. But it actually, I feel better. We met with the school board, and they reassured us they've got a pod within the school. So it's actually going to be neat because instead of having just 3 5th grade classes per se, they're going to mix them all together. So I think that's going to be good because she'll get to interact with more people, to be honest, in the 5th grade only.
Yes.
They won't go traveling to the 6th or 7th or 8th grade wards, but
which is good. Gives you another year.
Now I just have to figure out how she's getting to school because I'm like, I don't want her to ride the bus with those older kids because But so anyway, that's one hurdle we just went through. But what I was going to say is I feel like between 9 and 10 was a very pivotal time, in her little mind. She's getting they're getting smarter naturally, and she's just been, just exploring different things, and her likes have changed a little bit in the last year, which is interesting, which is all good. But how when you ask your kid, what do you want to be when you get, when you grow up?
Yes.
For a couple of years, I felt like when she was probably around the 3, 4, 5, the answer was always the same, and now it's changed, and she wants to be she wants to be a veterinarian. At least that's what it was at the last time, because she's just found this new passion for animals, which I don't know. So anyway, we've just noticed a lot of just more of her trying to figure out who she is.
Yes.
And so we've just had some different scenarios. And
how do you encourage that? How do you encourage her to figure out who she is?
Well, honestly, I try to get her to experience everything, because and this is, I don't know if my husband will listen to this. We're just going to pretend he's not. But he is very much he wants her to be in sports. Of course, that's I think partly a dad thing. But I have no athletic ability to myself at all. And so we've tried. We've encouraged her to at least try. And so, but to answer your question, we've encouraged her to try everything, and then we're kind of seeing what sticks. And she likes the arts. She is, and I don't know if we talked about this before, but whenever it's somebody's birthday, instead of buying a card, she makes them a card. Aww. So if your name's Amy, so she would say happy birthday, and then she'd go AMY, and then she'd be awesome, magnificent.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what she'd do for Y, but youthful.
I'll take that one.
But you know what I mean, that. So she's very and that's her. That's not me. That's her thinking of what she can do. So we're starting to, she's kind of going a little bit into more of a kind of artsy and crafty, and she's very she's just got a deep soul. So
I love that. I want to go back to one thought you mentioned, and Joanne, of course, I'm excited to get to you too. But you said you didn't want her riding on the bus with those age girls. Mm-hmm. So I thought, do you want to elaborate on that? I love how you're being so protective of her. And at the same time, you're having her experience so many things. Yeah. I think there's a very good balance here.
Well, it's kind of, well, it's tricky because I do want her to be exposed to some things. I don't want her to live in a bubble.
Right.
But, and this is kind of a blessing in a sense, is we do have some friends and some family members that have junior high kids and high school kids. And I feel like I know a lot of what they're doing, and I'm not quite sure if I'm ready for Kristen to know all about those things. But in the same breath, this was the year, I think we're okay to talk about this if you have to edit this out. Oh gosh. Oh, sorry.
Do it.
But this is the year that they had the talk at school in 4th grade. It used to be 5th grade, like it was 5th grade for me.
Did you know they were having that talk?
Yes.
Okay.
They send a note home and they say, are you comfortable with this? And, if not, like we had to sign off. And so I said yes, because we had it, and I don't mean the talk, I mean like the talk about your body changing talk. And her and I had already discussed that. So I didn't bring it up. She brought it up one day and she was just like, Mom, I was reading the Babysitter's Club, which, I liked that when I was young. And she was like, and Christy in there, she got her period. And I was like, oh, really? Oh, I was like, that's kind of foreign. I don't know what you're talking about. But then I didn't say that. But I mean, then it went from there, and I had a book, and the American Girl theme or store provides, actually they're beautifully written books about how your body changes and how those things happen. And I was like waiting for the time to pull out my book, and I was like, all right, let's go. We sat on the couch and we cuddled and we talked about those things. So I think with that, and it builds, I don't know if it was necessarily a confidence or an awareness more so, but all of a sudden she's like walking taller. And the next day she's like, Mom, can I wear one of your bracelets? Mom, can you pull my hair up? And I was like, you don't wear jewelry, and you sure as heck don't let me put your hair up in a ponytail. You know what I mean? So it's very interesting. So that was a big moment for us. So it's like, and I couldn't hide that. So going back to like experiencing things, I wanted to be able, though, to tell her things myself versus her finding out. I had a girlfriend in high school whose mom didn't have any conversation with her about how her body would change. And when she, went through that, she thought something was wrong with her.
Yeah.
And I didn't want Kristen to feel like that. So anyway, so we talked about it.
Yeah. I love that. And I love, Joanne, I'll let you jump in here because that's one thing that I love so much about Joanne and the way you rear your little girls is you talk about it all ahead of time. And I love that I've heard you make the statement several times, like, who do I want them to hear that from? And where do I want them to hear that for the first time? And it's taking responsibility as your mom. I want to teach you that. So I'll just let you take over, but I love that you do that.
Yeah. One of my points actually today was to talk to your boys about sex. And as early as 3 years old. I have this book that was actually not given to me. I bought it at my church, but it is The Story of Me, and it's by this company, and the book series is titled God's Design for Sex. Now, in this book I love that you said you have a book that you use to talk about a girl's period. Like, sex was not talked to me about as a kid. So, and I would like to do that for her, but I don't know how to talk about it to a child.
Right.
So the fact that the resources are out there, and I'm so thankful for that. But this book is awesome. It talks about God's design of a man and a woman, and how a woman has a uterus, and how a woman is special because of this, and it even goes into adoption and different, and even into nursing, breastfeeding. Like, it uses words like I said, uterus, vagina, penis. It's like things that when I was a young kid, if you said that, it was like
right.
And like, no, this is your body. This is not something to be secretive about, unless when they're comfortable enough to talk about, for me it's 5 and 3, right? So it's just getting to that point that you don't let mommy spank your bottom, like if it's playful, or daddy. Or because like if some other person comes up and does that, no, that's a big no-no. Yeah. So there are other ways for me to show affection and love to my child. That's, for some people, that's how they do it. And it's definitely not a mom shaming or mom guilt at all. I have a history myself with sexual abuse as a child. So this stuff is so important to me. And where I was as a child, and this is my point number one, I'm hopping around. I'm not keeping to the list. But my first point was I want to be a safe place for my kids to talk to.
I love that.
Yeah. And one thing I tell the girls, and I ask them, is anyone ever in trouble? And they say, no. Yeah, nobody is in trouble. Because their big thing that happens to them is spilling mommy's drink or going to bed. And they want, like, going to bed, for instance, like, it's huge to them at that age, like 3-year-old, like, oh my gosh, the end of the world.
Why are you doing this to me?
Yes, torture. And my reaction, especially with Grace, because I was still learning, was stop crying, go upstairs. Stop crying, go upstairs. That's it. So when she's older, a teenager, and maybe there's bullying or starting their cycle, or just anything about boys, that is really big to them. But they know that if they tell mom, she's going to be like, go to your room, stop crying. Like that carries, and you got to start with them as little kiddos. But so that's why, for me, I'm not saying I've perfected this, because this morning, one of them spilled my Shakeology drink, which is like this thick goop that if it dries, it doesn't come out and it smells really bad. So my reaction first was like, what happened? And then I was like, I'm doing this podcast about this, and I'm like, I got to show them that I'm learning. So I was like, I'm going to go downstairs, and I got my, cleaning supplies, and I'm grabbing my cleaning supplies, and we have these books from Aunt Amy called Spot Books, and they're all the emotions, and one of them is like if you're trying to find your calm spot, like from the tip of my finger to the middle of my palm, I can do it. I can be calm. So I'm literally like, from the tip of my finger. I can do it. I can be calm. So, yeah. So I'm walking upstairs, and I'm like, okay, I'm good. I'm not going to be bad. And I told Gwen, like, you are not in trouble. You're not. And so I'm cleaning this up. And then I saw the doll, and the doll had it all in her hair. So I was not happy. But, so I'm definitely working on this. But having that safe space, that's awesome that your daughter came to you, and she knew that she could talk to you about, hey, someone had a period. What is that?
Right.
That is incredible. And like when I was trying to keep my cool, and I'm telling Grace and Gwen, please clean up. And I'm smiling, and Gwenny is like, you don't, like, she said something about my smile, and Grace is like, yeah, Mommy, your smile is not very happy. And that's when it was, at first it's like, ugh. But I'm really glad that my kid can correct me in a way like that and not be afraid of it. I would have been afraid to correct a parent like that.
Yes.
Wow. I was like, yay, but then I was like, at the same time.
Like, don't you almost appreciate it in a sense? You don't want to be called out, but in the same breath, because I understand that, and I'm like, you know what? Kudos to you for having the courage to say that.
Yeah.
Like if I'm doing something that I shouldn't be, I think that's a great thing for them to.
That's huge.
Yeah. And going back to sex too, it's not a matter of if your child is going to hear this from someone else. It's a matter of when. It's going to happen. Day of age, it's going to happen. So yeah, I want it to be coming from me, and especially we have our beliefs and how. A woman is beautiful and strong, and also a man is beautiful and strong. And when you come in from someone that has a different belief, that maybe, especially when a lot of public schools are talking about same-sex marriages, it's sad. It really is. It's already in public schools. And when a young mind hears that, they're going to take it like everything else. Oh,
it's
the teacher said it. Yeah,
Kristen's already asked that. I didn't hear it. She didn't hear it through the schools, but there was a commercial, and I don't remember what the commercial was, but it was of two men kissing, and she was like, "Mom," and I was like, "Okay, let's talk about this stuff," because what?
Yeah.
So we addressed it right then and there.
Oh, that's so good.
And I love too, and I hear this from both of you, but when you say you address it, I love that. First of all, that the child feels like they can come to you. Like that's
huge.
That is huge. That is, I don't even know how to say it more than that. Like that's huge. But I also love that you encourage their curiosity, because I think that's really important for a child. It's not just well, just turn that commercial off. Like, we don't agree with that. It's like, no, let's sit down and have a conversation about it. And like, what do you think? This is what I think, what are your beliefs on it? And you really encourage them to be curious instead of like, just ignore it, put up a blindfold, or like, no, that's bad. I really like that it's, no, let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation on it.
Yeah, because in the end, it's not, when they're adults, they're not going to have my beliefs.
Right.
They're
Right.
going to create their own.
Yeah.
And that's where everything changes. When you get to college and you start, even for me, you start like, why did I believe that? Oh, because my mom and dad said that. And that's where you start, wait a minute. And so I love that from an early age. It's, hey, you can think something different than your parents. Now, in this house, you might not be able to do anything about it at the moment, but, what are your thoughts behind it? And you're teaching them that at a young age. Like, wow, that's valuable.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, it's definitely, like, that was my number one point was I just want to be a safe place for them to come and talk to. So even if it's about right now, for me, it is all the silly things because they're so little.
Right.
But, so this is definitely for the mamas with littles, like, even if it's the silly things, just be so, like, poop. Like,
right.
Yeah. Like, I know this sounds funny, but, like, whenever the girls have a great bowel movement, I'm like, yes!
Okay,
Good
it reminds me
job.
of the one time I was over there, and I think you were doing my hair or something.
Yeah.
And Grace, well, maybe I shouldn't even say which one. One of the girls came out of the bathroom and was very excited to tell you that she saw a blueberry in her.
Oh, man.
And you were just, like, I was sitting there like, oh my goodness, like, what are we talking about? And you were just like, Grace, that means we need to chew our food better. And like, you really took it serious. And then she was like, yes, ma'am, Mom, and walked out of the room, and I was like, what did I just hear? This is amazing. Like, she came to you about poop and you made it a big deal for her life, and it was amazing. So yeah,
I love it. And now if they're having little problems, they'll be like, I need to drink water. I'm like, yeah, you do. Yeah. I just have friends that like won't use a public bathroom, and I'm like, that's not healthy for you.
Right. That's
know, so it's so that's I don't know. Make a big deal out of the small things when they're little, because they're big to them.
Right.
Yeah. And I think I want to add there, I'm not personally a mom, but I know I feel this just even on Sunday mornings when I have the girls, but give yourself some grace, because you cannot do that every single day. Like, you just can't. It's just not possible. So, give yourself grace that today, man, I just couldn't handle dealing with one more fight over a toy, and I told them to go to their room. Get back up the next day and go at it again. Oh, yeah. Like, it's not just give up or just, you're not a failure. So I want to say keep going. Yeah. And then I also wanted to add the spot books that Joanne mentioned. Those are really good books. I saw somebody on Instagram talking about them, but it talks about the emotions for the kids. Yeah. And I found them right on Amazon. But they're called the spot books.
Yeah. Okay. They are fun. I enjoy them, and they got all different
patience. They taught right. They have a patient one.
Yeah, well, they go through all the emotions, but they also go through like organization, respect, kindness. Okay, wow. So like it has a ton, and they're enjoyable for the kiddos. Yeah. That sounds they're. I think like the podcast was like, what are we teaching our kids, right? Mm-hmm. But like I was thinking about like, how are we really teaching them the most at all? Everything is from our actions and our reactions. Yeah. Which is like,
the hardest.
Yeah. So I don't know about you or any other person in the world, but I didn't know I was an angry person until I had children. I really was, I never got really, I got angry at my siblings when I was a kid, but I did not think I was an angry person at all. And then I had kids, and then my reactions were anger. And the great thing is we are not failures, like you said, because failure is final. We're not done. We're still mothers until old age, Mm-hmm. So with grace, God has given me a lot of grace on that one. And it's, I love what it's my pastor's wife, Heather, taught me this one, which is, this is not her idea or anything, but we can apologize. Mm. I just didn't know that. I thought parents were supposed to just be perfect, and if you mess up, don't talk about it. Right. Because I think what first clicked with me was when Grace responded with anger, and then it scared me because I was like, whoa, she learned that from me. So I started apologizing, which was, wow, kids, man. Like, you apologize, man, they give you a hug, a kiss. They're so,
They're
man,
so forgiving.
to be like a child, like, we just hold on to grudges so much as adults. We hold on to things, but a child, their forgiveness and love, it's just, what an example. You can learn from a child, and that I can, and I am. But just the apologizing part, I didn't hear that growing up as a kid. And I'm not saying like, oh, my bad parents. I know my parents were doing the best that they could.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for all the love and care that I could go on forever about how much I love and I cherish my parents. But it's just something I didn't see, so I didn't even think it was an option. So that was that was my main thing for our actions and reactions. We're gonna have them.
Yeah.
So apologize if you mess up, because like you were touching on that. Every day I'm messing up a little bit every day. To be honest, it's not just once a week. It's a little bit every day. But apologize, just because then they know when they mess up, they know what do you do next.
Right.
Oh, I messed up. I hurt somebody's feelings. You apologize, or so.
Yeah.
But,
I love, I just was reminded that you really take time with the girls for them to understand their emotions. Like, how are you feeling right now? Or, and tell me how you're feeling. And helping them identify, how am I feeling in their emotions. But I'm picturing Gwen sitting in the back of my car. And sometimes, like I said, I only have them on Sunday mornings, but sometimes by the time we get in the car and get buckled, it's just like, okay, now let's drive down the road.
Well, no, it's almost like, yes, you are strapped down.
Yes, and man, on the way out, you're like, no, you cannot take that toy, and you cannot take that toy, and no, we're just going to sit in the car, yes, like, it's going to be okay. But sometimes before I'll back out of the driveway, I was like, man, girls, we need to stop for a minute, and we need to think about this. How are we feeling right now? Are we feeling whiny? Are we feeling this? And then I'll ask them, like, who is making us feel that way? And then Gwen will be like, I don't know if she calls him the devil or the enemy. Like, I don't know what word she uses, but she gets her little arms up and she's just ready to fight him. And it's just the cutest thing, because we're like, all right, let's get that devil out of here, and then we pray, and really it does set the tone totally different, before you get out of the driveway there. But it's just the cutest to see this little 3-year-old in the back seat in her car seat, like, I'm going to get that devil out of here, and changes her little attitude too. So
man, that kid, she's awesome. Like I told this morning, I said the whole, like, you are not in trouble, and she's like, like, yes, I'm not in trouble. I think, but Grace is more of like, okay, I'm not, like, I'm telling myself I'm not in trouble.
Right,
I'm
but
not
I
doing
feel
it.
like I might.
Yeah, with Gwen. Yeah, you're right. It's off my shoulders.
You're right. I am never in trouble.
So that just goes to show you, like, every child is so unique, in the way that we are gonna go through every step is going to be different with both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So we've done a previous podcast even on the 5 love languages, and we touched a little bit on kids. I was curious, do you know what Kristen's love language is?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. And I don't know much about the love languages, to be fully.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a book. There's the 5 love languages for children.
See, I need to read
That's
it.
a good one.
Because I don't know enough about it. I mean, maybe if I read it, I would know, but I don't know enough.
Well, they
about
have a
it.
little quiz that you can take too. So you can ask Kristen the quiz.
Yeah.
Ask her all these questions, and then it'll tell you what her love language is.
Yeah, I'm like, the best way to find out is ask her.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll pull that up.
It is really cool. I'm in the stage, though, where they're still developing, so it's saying, like, you should show all of them, and not withdraw or hide one of them in particular, but show all of them.
Yeah. When I was a teacher, I really tried to focus on that, because it's hard to be a teacher to 30 kids and to love them and to
all different.
It's hard to be a teacher at all.
Yes,
right,
period.
Exactly.
So I realized to connect to each child was extremely important, and I probably could have given them all the tests, but I didn't. So I just tried to love each child with every love language. So I would have, like, Post-it notes, and I would I would have a list, and then it's like, okay, these 5 kids are going to get a Post-it note on Monday, and I would put it on their desk. And then I would focus on, like, does someone need a drink today or something, just a small gift to let them know that they were loved or something. But you can really see a child's countenance change when they are really receiving that love from someone. So,
and they were so young.
beautiful.
They say from, I think it was up to age 5. Like, you just give them all. You can't pinpoint when they're that age. So even if you took a test, it would have been all over the page.
Yeah.
But that book is awesome. I do highly recommend that one. And I forgot to say that the Story of Me book series, the God's Design for Sex book story. Actually, I think there's 4 of them, and this one is for 3 to 5, and the next one is 5 to 8, and it goes up to 14.
Okay.
So, so even if someone's out there and you're interested and you have a kid that is, 14, like they have something for that age that you can, because we're not going to, like, this is a book it really is about sex, but it doesn't say sex through this. We don't, like, it's so age appropriate, and I love that about these books. But
I do love that.
You know what's interesting too, and I think I might want to look into that book, but what's interesting, at the age of 10 for Kristen, she's starting to go to friends' houses, and that's a whole, like, story in itself. But what's interesting is she's learning that first off, everybody has a mom and a dad. Okay.
Right.
Some people just have moms. So she's got one friend who's a single mom, and, like, that's foreign to her because she's used to us. But the ones where she's going to families' homes and there is a mom and a dad, what she's picking up is how different they are than Dave and I. Like, Dave and I are affectionate, you know what I mean? And we are engaged with each other, and we have family meals together, and you know what I mean? We do things with each other. We always have a date night regardless. And she knows those things. And so when she goes to these friends' house, she'll be like, Mom, well, this dad did this or this. And it's just interesting because she's taking and learning that every family is completely different too.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of, in the beginning when we were talking about, like, our actions, do influence them. And so she, she actually told me she feels sad for one of her friends because this, mom-dad duo was not quite as, affectionate necessarily, and there was a little bit of hostility going on there. But so that's an interesting takeaway too, because she's starting to just kind of see that not everyone is like us.
And she brings it to you.
Yeah, we talk about it.
So great. Like, she loves coming to her mom just to talk about anything and everything. I think that's the greatest thing.
I just have to make sure she understands that it's not wrong what's going on over there. It's just not what we have, and that every family has their own, is different and does their own thing.
Yeah.
But
that's powerful. At the age of 10, are the girls her age into Facebook? When does all that come into effect?
Well,
the filters, all of it. Like, when does that start?
It hasn't started with us because we just choose. We don't allow it. And I mean, do her friends have cell phones? Yes.
Wow.
She does not. We got her. I will tell you, we got her, like, it's called a gizmo watch, and so, like, it's something that, like, if she goes to her friend's house or she's somewhere not with us, it's a watch that can call 10 people, and they're programmed in. So, like, she can call me, she can call my husband, her uncle, whatnot.
And it's only those people. Like, she can't dial anybody else.
Like, there's, like, there's a texting option on there, but it's pre-programmed texts, like text like, I'm ready to come home, I miss you, I love you. There's no, like, she can't create the text.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
So we did give her that for her 10th birthday. Because we're not quite ready to do the phone and the social media. She knows that I'm on it, so she's very familiar with what it is. And sometimes she'll be like, Mom, did you do any new reels? And I'll be like, no. Or she'll be like, show Dad this one, or so, like, she's aware of what it is, but I just don't feel like it's needed right now. Plus, there's so much stuff that I'm not quite ready for her to see on those. So.
Right. And every kiddo is different. Like, there are some teenagers that still don't have any because the parents thought that was best for that child.
Well, and for us too, it's a responsibility thing. If you keep losing your shoes or your hair ties or whatever, how are you gonna keep track of a phone? You know what I mean? So It's like when you can, and that's how we've kind of said, like, we haven't put an age on it. We're not like, you're not getting a phone until you're 15, as much as when you can prove to us that you can be responsible enough to take care of a phone and
Then
how
we'll
it works,
consider it.
then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, and
for her,
that's-
it probably will be 15, but
Yeah. But that's going back to like what you said. You don't want her to be in a bubble.
No.
Where
Right.
it's okay until you're 20, you're not getting a cell phone. Like that's that bubble where you're not exposing the way when she like. I think that happened a lot with the kids that I went to school growing up. We were all in a bubble, and then when they got out into the real world, it was like going crazy.
Right.
And so that can, that's so it's you.
It's just
when
finding
she's
that
ready.
balance.
Yeah. That's cool.
Does she think boys are cute yet? Have you hit that
No,
stage?
she does not think boys are cool or
Okay.
cute. Now, I will tell you, there's part of her that is a tomboy, though. Like I said, I can't get anything in her hair. She just wears it down. Sometimes I'm lucky if she'll let me brush it. But like, she would rather play with, if we have boys over, like cousins even, she'd rather play with the boys than the girls sometimes. So it's interesting. There's and this is maybe a topic we're going to get to, but there's just so much drama with girls, so much bullying. Like, it's already happening. Like, she came home in like second grade and was telling me stories of what was going on the school bus, and I'm like, you are 7. Like, what is happening?
Wow.
Yeah.
So that stuff is, I'm not quite prepared for all of it, because everybody has said to me, oh, just wait till middle school. Oh, just wait till middle school. And I'm like, I don't know. So,
Well, you know what? You've got time. You just prepare her. That's just like what we're doing. We don't want him to get to that point and then take step backs and okay, all right, this is why we don't do this. How about if we prepare beforehand? Hey, girls are mean. You know what? He's probably going through a hard time. Like how about we pray for that person and ask, hey God, how do you see this child?
exactly. And that's when my email signature says, it's condensed. It's the whole you never know what someone else is going through type of thing. And I always tell her that. I'm like, they might have just had a bad day. Or maybe they didn't sleep very well last night. Maybe that's why they're saying this or doing that. Or in her case, some stealing out of her cubby at school. You know what I mean? I'm like, let's not, let's just hope that they have some, better day the next day. And like we pray. So...
I like, there's this one lady on Instagram, and she has 4 girls, and they all have curly hair like Gwen. I think it's the cutest. But she always tells her girls when they're leaving for school, she says, be friends to the friends that don't have friends. Yep. And I thought, oh my goodness, that's so powerful. And she's already teaching them, they're your friend too. So be friends to the friends that don't have friends. And I thought, wow, like what a good statement to teach a child, look for the one that's hurting or struggling and just go be friends with all of them.
Do you know what's hard though about that? And I don't know, maybe you can give me some advice on this, because that's I say something similar. I'm like, I don't care if you get straight A's. I don't care if you're in a sport or you're best at this. I'm like, I just want you to simply be kind to people. That's all. Like, just be nice, be kind. And, think of others. But like, what do we do when, like, how as a parent do we respond when the kids aren't being nice? And we can only say so many times, like, well, maybe they are having a bad day, or like, it's hard because you want to be that, like, you want them to understand that what's happening isn't nice and it isn't good, but you don't want to say that behavior is okay. But it's hard because sometimes she's just kind of like does one of these, like, well, okay, well, you're not really solving my problem. I guess it's okay for this girl to be mean to me. You know what I mean? Because it is tricky. And sometimes they have to defend themselves.
Right.
And so Dave and I are real, like, big with just turn around and walk away. Like, just walk away from the situation. Like, if it's ugly or somebody's saying something you don't like or you're not comfortable with, just walk away. She was like, okay. But I mean, like, sometimes she's like, but I want to say, and I'm like, so it's finding that, like, what's right, what's wrong, each situation's different.
Yeah, that's what they say. Every situation is very different. I don't know. This came up to me a couple of weeks ago where there was some bullying situation, not with my girls. And I compared it to today, at my age, where I'm at. If someone came up to me and told me what it said was not good, I would tell the police. That's how bad it was, Okay. So in this situation, the little girl didn't say anything to her mom till later in the day, not very long, you know? And I was like, that is an adult could be very bad. If someone came up to you and said something where they wanted to hurt you and you didn't say anything right away, that would be bad. So like for that incident, it was, if someone is saying they're going to hurt you, you right away, you go find help, you know? Another situation with another mom in bullying, her daughter was getting bullied, and of course the mom was like, I'm gonna go up to that kid and I'm gonna yell at him. And then I was thinking like, which is like, mama bear, you know? And I asked this, and I was thinking this with my kids, would I want my kid to go up to that child and yell at him out of anger?
Right.
Then why am I gonna do it?
Right.
Wow.
So, and that's the whole leading by
everything, example. So and what I do with Grace, and she's younger, but you could do this with your girl. I name scenarios. I said, hey, Grace will say, hey, ask me questions. So what I do is, okay, you're sitting next to, I don't know, Ryan. We don't know Ryan. In school, and he like wants to talk to you. What do you say? And she goes, say, teacher is talking, I need to listen, you know? And so I'll call out all these different scenarios, and then like as I'm getting to know people and hearing more real stories, I'll say those real stories, and she would be like, oh no, and I'll do this. And some of them is funny because like she said, like, you know, if you're with your friends and they're bullying someone, what do you say? Like, she's a bystander, you know? Her friends are bullying. She's like, I would tell him to stop, or she's going to tell the teacher. And I was like, no. I was I was saying, like, actually, don't you think it would be better if you said that you would tell the teacher, because you know that's not right. You know, so, you can't do anything for that person. You can't do anything for the other, but you yourself have the choice to tell an adult. You know, you can't really, in some situations, you can't stop a fight. Like, right. You cannot physically go in there and do that, but you can right away find help. And then, like, what's been on my mind is not hiding, not running, because that's what happens when you get scared, because you feel like, oh, I'm ashamed that this is happening, and I don't think I'm beautiful because they're saying I'm not pretty, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to go in and hide, and, that's me. Yeah. So it's just that's being that safe place where they can come to you right away. And you tell her, you tell your girl, like, so you're right. It doesn't always work if you say, oh, they probably just had a bad day all the time, that over and over. And you say, like, them, what does that mean about you? Yeah. About you. What do you think that means about you? I would love to know. I bet you would love to know that about your daughter. Yeah. Because she would probably say, well, I think I'm not really friendly, or I'm not really pretty, or I'm not likable. And then you go, oh, well, that's a lie out of hell. No, because God made you perfect, no mistakes. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. And so you can go into her and breathe life with, how does God see you? Because it doesn't matter how that kid sees you.
Very true.
Yeah, it's really an attack on identity. Because and so when you're going into and saying, like, how do you like, literally have her ask God, how do you see me? Out loud. I do this with Grace. It's fun. You never know what you're going to get.
Questions we had in the whatever,
the girl talking event.
Yeah.
So you could do that with a 10-year-old. I do it with my 5-year-old. I do it with my 3-year-old. So I have a 6-year-old. But so, and then after, because when they really truly know who they are, it doesn't matter what the bullies are saying. If it's physical, it's a whole nother level.
Well, right.
But when it's words, words can hurt. But if they are guarded with the armor of God, where they know how God sees them and how their identity is in Christ, then that's like your foundation. Then you can get into, how do you think God sees that kid? So then that will change their view on how she sees that person. Because she can easily, for the rest of her life, think, that person's a bully. I don't like bullies. I'm not going to talk to him. Right. Yeah.
I want to jump in here. I just had a conversation with an adult girl. She's about my age last night. And it's reminding me here that the bullying doesn't stop.
No.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Even when you're an adult, it doesn't stop. And this girl was talking to me, and she was very self-conscious about her laugh, which I thought was really surprising, because her laugh is one of the things that I love most about her, is because it's this loud, happy laugh. And when I hear it, it makes me happy. But anyways, through a conversation last night, she was saying how, I just don't have the right kind of laugh. And I said, that's interesting. I never have heard that statement before. So I said, where's that coming from? And she said, oh, all my friends tell me that I need to tone down my laugh. I just don't have the right laugh. I thought, oh, all your friends are telling you that. And so I said, well, where's the truth? I said, where does your laugh really come from? Like, when you really think about it, we were created by God. Like, you don't just all of a sudden create your own laugh.
Right.
Like, your
It just
laugh
comes
is part
out.
of
Yeah.
who you are.
Mhm.
And so I said, all these people telling you that you need to tone down your laugh. I said, did you ever go back to the Father and ask him what he thought of your laugh? She's like, no, I never thought of that. And I said, he created that. Like, that's what he's finding joy in. That's what he wants, is to hear your laughter. He created that. And all these people that you've been hanging around are silencing you and your identity. And through this conversation Joanne's just talking about, it reminded me, even as an adult lady, take it back to the Father. And then walk in confidence of who the Father says you are. And wow, what an opportunity we as mothers, as aunts, we all have influence over children, but what an opportunity that we have to teach these younger generation of children from a younger age than when I even learned it, and really anchor that down of who's your identity. And let me tell you, when these 6-year-olds and 10-year-olds become the 30 and 40-year-olds, there's going to be a whole different generation walking on this earth. And it's going to be powerful. So, guys, I am sorry. We got to cut it off.
Yeah,
It's
we're
been a
going to
good
turn
chat.
this into like a 3-episode.
Yeah.
Which we might. I do want to finish with this, though. If you are listening on the Girl Talk podcast and you're a mom, an aunt, a grandma, whatever you are, if you are struggling or you've just had a really crappy day, we've all been there. We'll probably be there within the next couple days. But I know Chandra's heart, and I know Joanne's heart, I know mine. We would love to connect with you. So send us a message. Reach out to us personally. We love coffee, all of us. We love coffee. So send us a message. We would love to go sit in a coffee shop with you guys and just chat and breathe life into each other. But girlfriends, we love you, and we'll catch you on the next Girl Talk podcast.
Hey friends, thank you for taking the time to listen to the Girl Talk podcast, where women encourage women. Come join us also on Instagram and Facebook, where we encourage women to live an intentional, powerful, positive, and spirit-filled life.